everybody, my name is Python and welcome back to another episode here of Minecraft Survival from Python's World. We're back here for the 41st episode, and I briefly mentioned this in the last episode, but I thought I'd give you guys the actual numbers. The last time I did a Minecraft Survival Let's Play that lasted this many episodes was Season 1 of the Let's Play I had running over on my Pythonator channel a whopping 3.5 years ago. Now, the reason I bring that up is because in today's episode, while on the surface it might not seem all that interesting, in that I'm going to be doing quite a lot of organization, not only of my items inside of my shulker boxes and ender chests and bundles and such, but also I'm going to be finally setting up a project wall basement under my episode 1 house. But yeah, like I say, while that doesn't sound all that interesting on the surface of it, doing both of those things are the key to having longevity in your world. So yeah, we get all this stuff done today, and it's going to make planning for future episodes and future builds and being able to get builds going really quick. Like, it's going to make all of that super easy. So here we are, 27 shulker boxes inside of our ender chest. The first thing I want to do is color code and rename each of these here shulker boxes. Now, what's our dye supply looking like? Oh, that's actually not too bad. I thought maybe I'd have to go on a little bit of a flower picking sesh to grab the dyes that I need, but no, this is actually all right. Now, I think I briefly mentioned it in the last episode, how I'm going to be going about organizing my shulker boxes within my ender chest here, and it's going to involve also using bundles, which is why in the last episode I went ahead and I bred up the cows a few times, and actually I still need to do that. So in fact, I'm going to go do that right now. And while I do so, it gives me an opportunity to say a huge, massive thank you for all of your lovely support throughout this series. I really do appreciate it, folks. Of course, keep those likes rolling in if you want to continue supporting these episodes and indeed the channel here. The other thing I wanted to mention is a shameless little plug for my brand new Vintage Story 1.21 series that has started up lately. If you've been missing my Vintage Story videos lately, then yes, there is a brand new series you can go ahead and watch right now. There's going to be a playlist link on screen for you if you're interested. The best way I could describe Vintage Story is think Minecraft, but way more realistic and advanced with the various survival mechanics that exist over there. For example, take making a pickaxe in Minecraft. It is stupidly easy, right? But in Vintage Story, it's a very involved and much more realistic process. So yeah, like I say, think Minecraft, but far more advanced and realistic. So then, you see these 51 levels I've got going on right now? I think what I'm going to do to try and be smart about this is I'm going to enchant a bunch of books until we're below level 30, and then we'll use the rest of the levels to rename all of these shulker boxes. So yeah, it's highly likely we're going to wind up spending a whopping 50 XP levels in today's episode. Any of you folks want to hazard a guess how many actually useful books we're going to get from this mini enchant sesh? I am going to guess 3. Punch 1. Yeah, that's not a good start. Unbreaking 3. Very nice. Efficiency 4. Pretty good, that. Wow, that is a hell of a book. These two books combined will have ourselves an epic pickaxe straight off the rip. Smite 4, very nice. Efficiency 4 again. Feather falling 4. Don't mind if I do there, Minecraft. So I guessed 3 useful books, but no, we've got 5. And before you say it, yep, I know, I probably could have just traded to get myself a whole bunch of useful books. But you know what? I just fancied having an XP spending spree because why not? Alrighty, folks, let's get started, shall we? Starting off with renaming our shulker boxes. Number 1, for example, is going to be for landscaping blocks. Then we've got cobble and stone. Then we've got good old deep slate. We're going to have a box for other types of stones. Then Then we're getting into wood territory with logs. Then we've got a box for other wood stuffs, like planks and such. Then we've got a box for other building blocks. So that's going to be things like bricks, packed mud, sandstone, and all that kind of stuff. Then we've got a box for saplings and leaves. And to finish off the first row here, we're going to have ourselves a box for foliage. We're kicking off the second row with a box I'm going to call World of Color, and that is going to involve hosting things like dyes and base blocks like white wool, terracotta, candles, you know, things that you can apply dyes to. You might be thinking, well, what about glass? Well, I'm going to have an entire box just for glass. And not being biased at all here, my friends, I've got my favorite box right here, the Flower Pot King box. Coming up next, we've got ocean stuffs, then a box for the various sources of light in this game. I've got what I'm calling the cool box here. That's going to host things like snow, snowballs, ice. On the flip side of that, we've got our warm box, or as I'm just calling it, nether stuffs, because that's what's going in there. And then, of course, talking of the different dimensions, we need ourselves a box to host all of the end stuffs in this game. Now, since we have an upcoming update dedicated to expanding how many things you can make with copper, I figured a copper box might be in order. Kicking off the third and final row, we got ourselves what I'm calling the junk box, and that is going to mostly host bundles, which will then host a whole bunch of random blocks and items that might need to be sorted, for example. Then we're going to have a box entirely dedicated to slabs, stairs, and walls that might not fit in other boxes. We've then got a box for decorative stuff, so that's going to incorporate things like iron bars, armor stands, paintings, and such. Then we've got a box for redstone stuffs. Then we need ourselves a new anvil. The 23rd box here is going to be what I call my customization box, and this is going to host things like armor trims, banner patterns. It will have a bunch of dyes in there as well. And you might be thinking, what about pottery sherds? Well, those are going to be going in the Flower Pot King box. Box 24 is for travel stuffs, and you can see I've already got a few bits and bobs in there. Number 25, we've got a potions box, and that's going to contain both potions and potion ingredients. The penultimate box here is going to host a whole bunch of gear. You can see I've got a bunch in there already. And last but by no means least, the valuables box. And there we are. We have literally spent every single level we had. All 51 levels are gone. So already feeling like I've got a good amount of organization going on. But now I think I want to color code these boxes. So here we are, my friends. Nice, colorful Shulker boxes. I feel like most of them should be self-explanatory. You know, stone being light gray, deep slate being darker gray. We've got logs and wood stuffs being brown. We've got foliage and leaves being green. But yeah, the fact of the matter is this looks far better than just having a whole bunch of default purple Shulker boxes, right? What the heck has happened to you two? I mean, I know that I'm a zombie when I wake up in the morning, but this is taking it to a whole nother level. All right, got these two separated. Let's go ahead and do just a little bit of a thing here. I wonder, as a result of me curing these guys for, I think, the second, maybe third time, maybe these guys will offer even more heavily discounted trades. I mean, that's how it works, right? You cure them over and over, and you keep getting discounts. I think there's like a maximum of like 5 cures that you could do for each villager before you got the rock bottom prices, right? We'll see what kind of trades these guys have in just a bit. I came over here because I wanted to get some wheat out so I could breed me cows again. So, one of the farmers is now cured again, and they are only asking for 19 potatoes to give me an emerald. I gotta be honest, I can't remember what the trade was before this guy got infected, so I can't tell you for sure if this is lower or not. I mean, it seems relatively low. Ah, here we go, here's the other one. And this guy's asking for only 15 carrots and 13 wheat. That does seem lower, actually. Huh. Yeah, cool. Hey, you want to see a magic trick? That first hotbar slot right there, there's nothing there, right? Well, with the magic of, well, magic, I am now going to make leather appear there. I am amazing. So I didn't just get 1 bit of leather, no, I got 40. How about that for a magic trick? Oh, 40 bundles? Are you kidding me? Oh, we're about to go absolutely insane with our storage strategy. Can't go forgetting about the bundles we have in our bundles and boxes chest. Look at that bundleception. All right, that's a lot of bundles right there, eh, my friends? So, when it comes to populating these shulker boxes, a lot of it is going to be pretty self-explanatory. For example, this landscaping box is going to host things like dirt, grass, pods or mycelium, coarse dirt, mud, sand, gravel, that sort of stuff. Now, I should mention that I have, sort of outside of Minecraft, set up a Word document, and I really tried my best to plan what goes in each of these here slots to try and maximize the amount of stuffs we can carry with us at all times. And I've tried to figure out the quantities of each block and or item we have in these boxes, depending on how often I feel like I use them. So yeah, 3 stacks of dirt, I feel like that's a pretty good way to go. Same with the grass blocks. So let's get 3 stacks of those as well. Bumping into our first hurdle here, my friends, we have mycelium. Or more to the point, should I say, we don't have mycelium. So maybe an exploration episode is in order soon, right? I mean, we do now have access, pretty much infinite access now, to firework rockets, right? So it only makes sense that we do a big old exploring trip soon. So with this landscaping box, the blank spaces, this column is going to be mycelium, this one down here is going to be for rooted dirt, and then this little column is supposed to be for red sand. Now, if I was to spend just a teeny tiny amount of time, I might be able to find all of the stuffs to populate the rest of these spaces here. I mean, at the end of the day, go big or go home, right? If we're going to do this, we're going to do this thing properly. So let's chuck our landscaping box in there. Let's bring ourselves a bunch of bone meal in the form of bone blocks, and let's do a little bit of exploring. The first thing I want to try and find is a naturally generated azalea tree. That's probably going to be the easiest way for us to grab ourselves some rooted dirt. I mean, granted, you can form your own rooted dirt by going ahead and force growing an azalea tree, but I'm pretty sure you only ever get one rooted dirt underneath where you planted down your azalea tree, right? So yeah, try to find the ones that have spawned in naturally is probably your best bet, because they go quite far down into the earth, don't they? How about this for killing multiple birds with one stone? Red sand, azalea tree, and thus rooted dirt. So check it out, a whole bunch of rooted dirt, and unlike the azalea trees you grow yourselves, this rooted dirt goes way down into the earth. I mean, look at it. It's everywhere. I mean, provided I get rid of the sand around here. 51 rooted dirt. That's a pretty okay start, I'd say. Time to move on to the gathering of this red sand, I think, my friends. I feel like half the reason I don't really experiment with my builds in terms of using new blocks is simply because I don't have easy access to a lot of the blocks. So me grabbing all of this red sand here, who knows? Maybe we can make ourselves a western build out here at some point. Like I was saying earlier, me grabbing all of these resources and having everything be organized will really, really help in terms of increasing the longevity and variety of stuffs we do in this world. So with the rooted dirt and the red sand collected, we now have the big goal of trying to find ourselves a mushroom island. I don't think we've found one so far in this series. We're 41 episodes in now, my friends, and there are still certain biomes which we haven't found for the first time. Does anyone else find that a little bit nuts? Now, for any of you guys who don't know, I did mention it at the very, very start of the series, this world seed is very, very special because every single biome that exists in Minecraft is within a 3,000 block distance from 0, so we shouldn't have to have any of our coordinates go above 3,000 or below negative 3,000 in order to find the stuffs we need. So I dare say if we just fly around long enough, we'll hopefully be able to find the mushroom biome we're looking for. So here we are, for example, coming up on one of our corners here. Yeah, you just saw the Z coordinate go below -3,000, so we're going to switch direction and go a different way. I like how our organization episode has turned into a bit of an exploration episode as well now. But you know what? I'm kind of okay with it because, you know, we've got a little bit of variety going on. So do you know what? As a result of us doing all of this exploring here to try and populate our shulker boxes in our ender chest, I think what we're going to do is we're going to postpone the project wall to the next episode. Perhaps it could become like a part 2 to our big goal of being organized in this world finally. Hey! Mushroom biome located right next to an iceberg biome as well. Wow, we're going to be able to get a lot of useful resources from around it. Dude, this island is ginormous as well. Wow. Wow, look at all the mushrooms. There's loads of them. Wow, this is brilliant. Anyway, we're here to grab ourselves some mycelium. And here we are. Our landscaping box is now properly populated. Oh, and I should probably take down the coordinates of this place. Hey guys, you see that on the left-hand side at the top of the mountain? It's a little bit of a secret project I made. And basically, it's supposed to be a pool so we can have some frogs. And yeah, for any of you guys who don't know, back at our episode 1 house, we've got 2 out of 3 of the types of frogs you can get. We are missing the green cool variant. So us being up here on top of a mountain where it's nice and snowy, hopefully, eventually, I should be able to get myself a green frog. And who knows, maybe eventually I could make myself my first ever frog life farm. That would be amazing. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a something I whipped up off camera between episodes. I didn't really feel like it belonged in an episode, so yeah, hopefully you guys don't mind that. So, back to our organization. We've got ourselves our cobble and stone box here. We've got 12 stacks of cobble that'll be going in here. 12 stacks of regular stone as well. And finally, we're gonna have ourselves some mossy cobble. Now's where things start getting interesting because we're going to be filling this up not just with, you know, cobbled deep slate and the smooth deep slate, but every single type of deep slate you can get. And yes, we're even including the cracked variants of certain deep slate blocks. So there we are. That's that one populated. I mean, we don't really have a great deal of anything in here, so hopefully as time goes on, we can populate this more and more. Now to move on to another complicated box. Complicated in that we've got quite a lot of things that are going to be going in here. So we've got the typical granite, diorite, and andesite. We've then got stone bricks, a whole bunch of tuff, and then we've got a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Look at it. We've got all the variants of tuff. We've got stone bricks, smooth stone, we've got drip stone, we've got amethyst. The only other thing I want to put in here is calcite, and surprisingly, we don't have any to put in there. So, looks like we're going to be going for another explore, eh, my friends? I am excited. But before we embark on our journey, let's go check on our paper maker we made in the last episode. And there's nothing more in there. Wait, I'm not hearing the minecart, though. Oh, man. Are you telling me the minecart has stopped? Okay, that's kind of unfortunate. Maybe instead of using detector rails to power the powered rails, maybe I should just put, like, a lever underneath. Maybe I shouldn't have tried to overcomplicate it. You know what that means, though, don't you? We've probably missed out on quite a lot of sugarcane harvests being converted into paper. Ah, jeez. Ah, well, at least I've discovered it now rather than later. Alright, that's one lever down. These are now permanently powered, and yeah, my suspicions were correct. The minecart has stopped. It's stuck over there. On the subject of the paper maker, it turns out I made another error in the last episode as well. Alright, there we go. The minecart is now going, which is awesome. And there we are. We're starting to get a nice supply of paper once again. But yeah, I messed up in another way in that in the auto crafters I forgot to disable the bottom 2 rows on the interface here. I needed to do that because what was happening is I was getting all 9 slots filling in with sugarcane, and obviously that doesn't make anything, so everything was just getting caught in here. Nothing was being made. So yeah, I had to amend it so only the top row was enabled, and now everything's working a treat again. I just realized I could totally start populating my travel box with the gunpowder and paper. So there's 2 easy ways of finding calcite, I think. One of them is trying to get lucky, finding a geode underwater, and then the second is you can find like large deposits of calcite in some mountain biomes. I think the route I'm going to go down is trying to get lucky finding a geode underwater. So if we fly around long enough, and if we find ourselves like a big dark bulge underwater, then we know we found one. Oh yeah, we found one. Ha ha ha! They do still generate underwater, just nowhere near as often as they once did. You used to be literally tripping over these things back in the day, but yeah, at one point or another, they made these things far more rare underwater. But you can still find them if you look hard enough and long enough. The cool thing is that geode we found is next to a mushroom biome. But the thing is, this is actually an entirely different mushroom biome. We're well over 3,000 blocks away from 0, at this point. But yeah, there we are. A second mushroom biome. Not often I find 2 of them in one episode. So there we are. A whole bunch of the other stone types. I'm not entirely sure if this is every single other stone type, but it's certainly a heck of a lot of them. Just realized we got ourselves some kelp here. We can put that in our ocean stuffs box. In terms of an episode end goal, oh, desert temple. I think in terms of an episode end goal, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get the first row of shulker boxes entirely populated. Only the first row are the things that I'm going to be using in the most plentiful amounts. You know, we've got stones, we've got woods, and then we've got, like, foliage. So, yeah, we're just about to hit the halfway point in terms of populating the first row there. But here we are, taking a little bit of a break to check out this here desert temple. What does it have in store for us? Let's give it all that pressure plate, shall we? What have we got? Emeralds and gunpowder. Don't mind if I do. In this one, ooh, some armor trims. We've then got a looting 2 book, which I guess isn't terrible. And finally, oh, check this out. Turns out you can actually find copper horse armor in these chests now. Of course, we can't go forgetting about the beauty that is the TNT right here, right? I mean, I am a creeper at the end of the day. It really is a crying shame that I don't have a brush on me, because I've just remembered that Desert Temples now host a new section which have suspicious sand in them. I mean, there's one right there, for example. So here we go, taking down the coordinates of this place. Maybe we could come back in a future episode and brush this thing up. Do you know what? Looking through the Word document I set up, I haven't allocated a space for TNT. And I think the best place for it to go is in my flower pot king box, alongside all of the flower pots and the things that make me, you know? Because we got ourselves these here dune armor trims, it gives me an opportunity to show what I'm going to be doing with some of these here bundles. I've decided to sort of categorize the trims, and according to the Word document I set up, I've got a bundle for trial chamber trims, one for ocean trims, one for ancient city trims, one for nether trims, one for trail ruin trims, and one for exploration trims. And the dune armor trims, I would say, come under exploration trims. When I said I want to get organized, I was being serious. Do you know what I'm starting to realize, my friends? If we really want to take our organization to the max, we're probably going to want to rename these bundles according to what's going in them, right? So, we've got our anvil, we're down here at the double skelly spawner, and as a result, we should be able to get XP galore. There we are. Exploration trims, and apparently thunder. There we are. Nicely categorized armor trim bundles. Do you know what? While we're down here, shall we just, like, rename, like, a whole bunch of bundles so we can get them to populate some of my shulker boxes? I think that'd be a good shout. I think it goes without saying we should definitely color code these bundles as well. Like, for example, this little block of 6 is for the trims themselves. These 2 here are for the different, like, trim colors you can add. So things like redstone, amethyst, all that kind of stuff would go in these. And then down the bottom, we've got ourselves 2 dies for each bundle. But yeah, this is the sort of advanced organization I'm going for this time with my shulker boxes. This box right here is entirely full of bundles, but check it out. It's nicely organized though. We've got oak blocks, and this is going to incorporate things like planks, bark blocks, that sort of thing. And then oak items is going to be things like oak buttons, oak slabs, oak stairs, all that kind of stuff. We've got 2 bundles for every single type of wood in this game. And yes, I'm even including bamboo under that. For once. And then these 3 here are just my wood stuffs bundles, and that's going to incorporate things like chests and sticks and bookshelves and stuff like that. Once again, though, we definitely need to dye these bundles to make this look just a little bit better, huh? But anyway, I think that's enough renaming for now. We're going to get ourselves back up to our storage room, and we're going to get back on with trying to populate the first row of our storage boxes here. So, in the case of our logs box here, there's going to be 3 wood types that I consider the most used ones. Well, the ones I use the most of. I use oak and spruce more than anything else. And then when it comes to making things like chests in bulk, I typically go for something like jungle or maybe pale oak. Something I don't build with all that often, but you can get in plentiful amounts as a result of you being able to grow a 2x2 tree. So actually, perhaps it should be jungle that takes up the other 3 block space here, and then pale oak can take up a 2 block space, just like all the other logs that'll be going in here. And here we are, my friends. That is what I call a box of logs. Alrighty, a little bit of a progress update. My saplings and leaves box is now entirely populated. Had to grow a few trees here and there to grab the resources. But yeah, we've got just about everything we need here. Every single type of sapling, including the nether ones. Every single type of leaf, including the nether ones. And even some of the other ones you can get, like azalea and even mangrove roots. Alrighty, just a couple or so more boxes to get filled in, and then we can wrap up today's episode. We've got packed mud here. We've got packed mud bricks. They'll be going in this other building blocks box here. Alrighty, quite some time later, our other building blocks box has been populated. I grew a couple of mushroom trees to grab these blocks right here, and then the block of resin, that's not actually that difficult to get. You just gotta head on over to a pale oak forest, start slapping around some of the creakings a little bit until they spawn some resin on whatever block it may be, and then you go from there. You make yourself some blocks of resin and/or resin bricks. So that leaves only 2 boxes remaining. One of them, you could argue, is technically completed. It's this big box of bundles, but we haven't populated said bundles. We've got all of this stuff that could go in them. Except the boats, because the boats would just fill up the bundles straight out, wouldn't they? And then finally, we've got the foliage box to populate. And believe me when I say, there's more foliage in this game than I first thought. So check it out. We've got ourselves some various pale oak related blocks here. I've decided to incorporate creaking hearts as part of that as well. But yeah, these are all going to be going in there. So there we are. We've got 3 different loads of pale oak related blocks in one bundle. Before bundles were introduced, this would have taken up 3 slots inside of a shulker box. But no, just 1 here. Same goes with the pale oak items. Check it out. We've got 3 different items occupying only 1 slot here. I think I might also exclude signs from going in bundles. Since these only stack up to 16, it means that every singular item will actually take up 4 slots in the bundle. So just to prove the point, here's the oak items bundle. We put the sign in there, and that bar is already fairly large. Whereas if we were to put something that stacks up to 64... yeah, look at that. The bar is absolutely tiny. So yeah, I think I might exclude signs from these bundles. I should mention, by the way, in terms of the foliage box here, that is not going to include flowers. The flowers will be going inside of the flower pot king box instead. So check it out. This is what our foliage box is looking like. The only things left to put in here are these here drip leaves. I basically just dug further down where that azalea tree was earlier in the episode. And then there you go. go. Lush caves equals big drip leaves, small drip leaves, and spore blossoms. Quite the healthy variety of foliage here, I'm sure you folks would agree. So there we are, the first row of fully organized items in these here shulker boxes. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think what I'll do is I'll just fill the rest of them as time goes on, maybe between episodes or whatever. I wanted to get this first row done on camera because I feel like these are sort of the more used things, you know, like I said before, cobble and wood and foliage and such like that. So, on that note, finally, it is time to wrap up today's episode. Blimey, this has been a long one for me, but I really do hope you folks have enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a little bit of a thing or two about how to effectively organize your storage, perhaps. So we're going to wrap up with the comment of the day, and it comes from Brian Dara. If you need slime balls, instead of building a slime farm, you can use splash potions of oozing on the mobs in the drop chamber or a dispenser filled with potions. Do you know what? That is an absolutely genius idea, and I have to give that a go. The first thing I need to do, though, is figure out how to make myself the potions of oozing. Presuming you even can, that is. So, having checked out the wiki, it turns out it's not slime balls you need for potions of oozing, but slime blocks. Unfortunately, I don't have enough slime balls for a slime block. So, what time of day is it right now? Okay, the sun is going down slowly but surely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my local swamp, which is way over in this direction. And we're going to hope that when it becomes nighttime, some slimes will spawn around here. Ah, fantastic. It's a full moon as well, my friends, which means we should have maximized spawn rates for slimes. Ah, excellent. Good day to you, gentlemen. I'm going to need all of your slime balls. Many, many slime balls. Can you, like, stop killing me? I would very much appreciate it. Ah! Son of a... There we are. That's what I'm looking for. So we've come out of that with 46 slime balls. Let's make ourselves a slime block, some oozing potions, and let's give our new possible rudimentary slime farm a bit of a go. Alright, brewing stand goes down. Let's get these in here and let's get some awkward potions going. Then, if my research is correct, it's going to be a slime block. Oh, I'm really breaching into new territory here. I have never ever made potions of oozing before. And finally, let's make them into splash potions. There we go. Right, my prediction is that what will happen is we'll have ourselves like a million mobs down the bottom, and then as soon as I throw the potion of oozing at them, they'll all wind up having the oozing effect, and then when I kill them, that'll be the point in which a million slimes will spawn in. So let me just AFK up here for just a few seconds here, trying to get ourselves a bunch of mobs to spawn in. Alrighty, the kill chamber is filling up nicely. Now to chuck the potion. Wait, are they affected? I have no idea. Let's give it a go. Boom! Oh! Wow! Wow! I can't say I was expecting that. A complete explosion of slimes just pouring out of the kill chamber. Wow. Turns out this is a pretty genius way of grabbing a whole bunch of slime balls. Thank you so much for turning my attention to the potions of oozing. Honestly, this is a fantastic way of getting slime balls. Look at them all. They're just pouring into my inventory right now. Oh, there's a whole bunch more back here as well. That, my friends, is a heck of a lot of slime balls, isn't it? Should we get some more? This is fun, actually. This is a really fun way of getting slime. Boom! I love this! This is such a fun way of getting slime balls. I absolutely love this. Holy guacamole! 6.5 stacks of slime balls. All right, not bad considering we started off with 6. So yeah, thank you so much for that comment. That was a fun one, my friends, a very fun one. So on that note, it is time to wrap up today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. I really do hope you folks have enjoyed today's episode. A nice healthy balance of exploring, organization, and a little bit of fun at the end as well, experimenting with the potions of oozing for the very first time. If you've enjoyed today's episode, do be sure to drop a like. I'd very much appreciate it. Of course, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to ding that bell if you don't want to miss out on my future content. For now though, thanks for watching, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you folks in the next episode. Bye bye!